Tell us about your character. Tell us.
So I play a character named Tad Billingham, and he is the pastor of a sect that is involved in the conspiracy, the epic worldwide conspiracy. And he, I think, if you were to look at him, you would be like, that guy's a fanatic. He is, and by that I mean he is singular in his worldview about, I believe this and I'm going to do all of these things in order to make my worldview come true. I think all of us, I think there's a pejorative sense about what fanaticism is, right? Right? We don't agree with that.
Sure.
You're a fanatic, you're free, you should do that. I think for him, he does not feel that way. I think he, on some level, feels that the inspiration is godly of what he is doing.
So he's strong in his convictions.
He's extremely strong in his convictions, yes. There is a lifelong strength to his conviction. And I think, too, one of the things that would be interesting for the audiences is that when we say that it's a 2,000-year conspiracy, the depth of need and passion that is involved in that started that long ago. And that it isn't just like, oh, my great-great-grandfather was part of this particular result, I'm going to get involved in that. That there's an actual through line. There's a real through line that people still believe. And by still believe, I mean for real now in the world that we live in. So while there is fiction to it, there is also a great deal of great scoop or two scoops of truth.
You sound like you're kind of digging into the mystery a little bit. You're sort of, or you're buying it, I should say.
I'm buying.
Well,
yes.
I mean, you sound like you know what you're talking about in terms of.
Well, there has been some studying going on, yes. And I don't know if, did you guys watch the panel? Wow. So Reza, who was our moderator, is an extraordinary historian, religious historian, and has written an incredible book called Sell It, which you should read, which is spectacular, about the historical Jesus. And it gives you an incredible context to the thousands of years of struggle, world, life, religious, godly struggle that people have gone through. And Jesus was one of those people.
So talk a little bit more about
I'm sure that's not controversial at all.
Talk a little bit more about some of the research that you did for this role, for the overall story.
I've been doing a lot of reading and starting with the Bible, because there are many aspects to certainly what the character that the character that I play knows the Bible very well. And I grew up religious. I was Catholic. I was raised Catholic, and so knew many aspects of the Bible, both the Hebrew Bible and the New Testament. And so that's reading it. And then there are a great many evangelical writers in America. Certainly, that particular tradition, the writing tradition, and the preaching tradition that they have, also plays into the world that Pastor Tad is involved in. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Is that both vague and specific enough?
Good job.
Sure. Well, I'm an actor.
Have you added anything to your character that wasn't originally scripted?
No.
So he's a pretty great character?
Well, the writing is very good. And that's when you know that when you don't have to add a bunch of whistles and bells and whistles, whistles and bells. Whistles and bells, that doesn't sound right. When you don't have to add them, and you can actually really reveal what the writing is, then you know you're with good writers. And reading good writing, because you spend your whole life training to be a storyteller. And so do the writers, and when you come together, you just want to tell what the story is that they're presenting. And they spend a lot of time sitting there and typing it out and figuring out what they're going to do, and then they have to bring it to other artists, crew members, and DP, DPs and cameramen and directors and actors, and then all of a sudden you realize that the story is made like in the center of this table. That it isn't up to one of us to make the story; it's up to all of us to make the story together in the center.
So you've played a lot of villains, or
Have
maybe
I?
anti-heroes.
It's possible, yes.
And I have to say, you scare me a lot, which I love.
Nice.
So, can you talk about if
When
there's
did I
some,
scare you?
definitely in, well, I loved you in Suits. You scared me in Damages.
Damages, yes. Okay.
Damages.
Sure.
I even loved you, although you weren't the bad guy in Person of Interest. I've watched you do it.
Oh, nice.
So can you maybe talk about what draws you to maybe the darker roles, or even a role like this? Like, what is it about it that you really
Let me
dig
just say,
yourself into?
I grew up like I used to. What I really loved to do was comedy, and I was a comedian, and not like a stand-up comedian, but like, comedy was my thing, and I love being that guy. It's so much fun. I got to kill my friend on Damages. It was fantastic. Shooting somebody with a gun, walking around New York City streets with a gun on your back was awesome. You know, it's like every little boy's dream. You're like, I get to go bang and be a total badass. I am not a total badass. So it was fantastic to be one, which was awesome. So there is something very fun and enjoyable, especially to be able to play outside of your own personal, you know, your life where you dress like this, you go to Whole Foods, I don't shoot anybody, I'm not a bad guy. Some days I wish that I could be a bad guy. But they are incredibly fun because you really get to release into, you know, really dark, ugly shit that's nasty and scary, and it can be very fun, to do. And I think this character, there is something. He lives in a world where there's a lot hidden, and you don't. And he's hiding from people that know him very well. He's hiding from himself, and he is getting involved in a conspiracy that is extremely dangerous and life-threatening. And the stakes of playing those particular set of circumstances is thrilling.
So what is your favorite aspect about playing this character?
Sorry?
What is your favorite aspect about playing this character?
I think like loving just being really hidden. It's a fun thing to do to yourself. Because on some level you have to, if you're hiding something even from yourself, you actually, how would you know what you're hiding or how to do it? You know, you have to almost trick yourself into being in some really crazy, weird, you're going down some tunnel, and you put yourself into a tunnel that you don't know where the next turn is, and it's pitch black, and you just, the thing that you know you have to do is run as fast as you can.